Hi. Hi. Happy Friday to you wherever you are watching this Facebook Live. It's amazing. You could be watching it anywhere. That's the wonder of the Instagram, Facebook. I'll stop talking and start focusing. Sorry, just got rid of my my teenager out the door. School holidays. What a joy. Said no mother ever. Welcome. My name's Cathrine Mahoney and I am an author. My book is on the screen there. It's also here, currently Between Husbands. It's been out, I think, nearly a month now. Hi, Mary. And yes, today was exciting because I went on my LinkedIn profile and added author and had a bit of a cry. So anyway, it was exciting. I'll wait for everyone to come in. I'll start talking a little bit about me and my book, and then if anyone's got any questions, wants to ask me anything, please put your questions into the comments, and I will come to you. It's like doing a TV show with just yourself. This is a bit odd, but I'm excited to be here. Right, okay, who am I? My name's Cathrine Mahoney, as it says on the screen, and on my book. You might be able to tell from my accent, I'm English. I moved to Australia, called Sydney home, gosh, since 2000. So I've been here for 22 years. By trade, I am a publicist. So for the last 20 years, I've been very, very lucky to work for the likes of Sony Music, with all of the big global music stars. Channel 9, I worked at the NRL for a spell in fashion. And then my last job was with Nova Radio, working with Fitzy and Whipper. Which was lovely. Breakfast radio hours, not so lovely. My writing world started, I suppose I always wrote. Used to write diaries as a kid, as we all did. I like to overshare on Facebook and Instagram for the last, gosh, however many years we've been on social media. But I started a blog or a website. And I started my musings and I popped them on there. And then I was lucky enough, I think working in the media, I had great contacts. I was lucky enough to start having my work published. Mamma Mia, 9honey, news.com. And then I got my first column with Women, which is a website, sadly, that's not here anymore. And it was called Too Much Information with Cathrine Mahoney. But I really wanted to write a book. And so I kept on with my columns and my writing, and I did some courses. I did a fiction course to see if I wanted to do fiction. And then I got this book. So for anyone that wants to write a book, it's called Use Your Words by Catherine Devney. It's fabulous, and it's a real kick up the bum to anyone who wants to write, to sort of get into the groove. So that was that. Anyway, I decided that I wanted to write this book, and to do so, I ended up quitting my day job. And so I left Fitzy and Whipper and the radio world after 5 years, and I started a podcast called So I Quit My Day Job, which talked about me trying to write a book, and then every week I would talk to someone else who'd flipped careers, and it's still going 2 and a bit years on. But what was great about that podcast was publishers came to me and they were like, what's this book that you want to write? And I was like, oh. So the book that I wrote is called currently Between Husbands. So I was married, and 2 weeks before my 40th birthday, my marriage went tits up. It all kind of ended, wasn't quite what I expected for my 40th. And for anyone that's gone through a divorce or, has had a big relationship come to an end, it's pretty horrendous. And I didn't know anyone that had been divorced. I was the only person in my social circle that had been divorced. And so I remember walking around a bookstore in the Northern Beaches where I lived at the time. And I just thought, why has Bridget Jones not got divorced? There were loads of self-help books out there. But I wanted that comedy and the light and the shade that I think Helen Fielding does so well with her character Bridget Jones. And so, yes, probably 12, 18 months on, I remember thinking, I want to write this book. Anyway, so that's kind of where it sat. I describe it as Bridget Jones meets Eat, Pray, Love, but with less yoga, more vodka and bigger undies. And I also say it's not a self-help book because I'm quite happily still in therapy. I have an amazing energy coach that I work with. So yes, that was kind of, I suppose, why I wrote the book. I like to think it's really funny, but as friends have pointed out, it's actually really sad in parts too, because a relationship ending, whether it's a marriage or a long-term relationship, isn't just a load of laughs. But the book sort of follows me navigating, the bits, the sort of getting your life back together bits, the dealing with being a solo parent, breaking down in Medicare when I had to change my name on my Medicare card, going into school and having to be the parents that now have 2 meetings, for school. And also, sorry, it was a big truck noise in the eastern suburbs. And also navigating the dating world in your 40s, when I thought I'd never, ever have to go on a date again. So yeah, there's a lot in the book, and I'm really proud of it. I was married to a rugby league player, someone who's now a commentator. He's quite famous, Andrew Johns. So a lot of what we went through was in the media and the spotlight, which brought with it an extra layer of stuff, I guess. But yeah, it's all in the book. And yeah, I might stop rambling and start taking some questions. Claire, oh, you're listening to my book and you're absolutely loving it. Thank you. I narrate the audiobook. I've got another podcast with Nova called Not Another Parenting Podcast, so I quite like a chat on the microphone. Vicky, welcome from YE. Nice to have you here. Jane, your book is hilarious and brave and reads as if we were sitting with you while you speak. What's your writing process like? Thank you, Jane. Yeah, I definitely write as I speak, and lots of friends who've read the book have said it's like I am sat with them chatting. My writing process, I suppose, do you know what I actually first started with, which is so like old school? I got like a massive roll of butcher's paper and loads of post-it notes, and I did a bit of a timeline of, when the marriage ended, when I went on my first Tinder date, I kind of had it all out like that. So that's how I started. And then it's a package on Scrivener, I think it's called. You can get it on your Mac or any computer, and it's this amazing place where you can put all of your chapters all at once and kind of write. It's like post-it notes on a computer. It's brilliant. So I found that process really, really helpful. Beatrix, I'm looking forward to this book. I hope you enjoy it. I do. Gabby, lovely to hear from you. What's your best advice for getting over a breakup and getting back into the dating world? Wow. Okay. Well, I say in the book, as cliched as it is, it takes time. It's not as fast as you wish it was, but you get there. So you do definitely have to give it time. Don't judge yourself when a relationship breaks down. Don't judge what you eat or drink. I probably drank most of the world's vodka for the first year, and ate a lot of tuna out of a tin, and cornichons, probably not fancy, and probably why I was single for a while. Also, surround yourself with people that you trust and that you love, because it's a difficult time. As much as I might be self-deprecating about my experience, it's really tough, and as a mum to a 5-year-old, Lewis was then, I learned to cry quietly. I didn't want him to see me upset. You cry after you've dropped them at school, like all these sort of things. What other advice would I give? Don't share your stuff on social media. I mean, you can do what I did and write a book, but yeah, don't share it on social media, I think isn't some more advice I'd give you. Jane, where did you go? What was it like revisiting your breakup like this? Was writing it difficult or cathartic? It was actually really cathartic. I sort of say I'm really lucky I wrote this book 6 years after the marriage ended. I think if I'd written the book closer to the marriage demise, I wouldn't have been able to share any of the falling in love stuff. My ex-husband Andrew had also written a book. This is while we were still together. He's quite public about his bipolar and his journey with that. And our son read it recently, and there's a chapter in there where he writes about me and falling in love with me. And Lewis was like, "Oh, Dad said, you light up a room when you walk in." And what I'm really happy about is that I've been able to write about meeting Andrew and our first date and our first kiss and butterflies and falling in love and our wedding day. And, I think being able to reach back into the love that you had in a relationship when it's ended you can't do it immediately. It takes time, but that felt really lovely to be able to do that. And in the book, I don't just talk about my marriage. I then go through all my relationships, and I'm like, God, did I suck at all my relationships or just suck at marriage? And so I talk about my first kiss, my first love, my first heartbreak, popping my cherry. And these are all people I reached out to, all my past people, and, reached out on Facebook. I was like, I'm doing a book. Do you want me to call you your real name? Or, so strangely, I reconnected with lots of my past. So it was very cathartic. It was. Mary, I recently watched season 3 of The Split on ABC iView, which links in well with the topic of your book. Look forward to reading the book. Oh, Mary, first of all, thank you. Secondly, I didn't know there was a season 3 of The Split. It's the best show ever. So I'm excited about that, and thank you. Helen, welcome. You look forward to reading my book. I hope you enjoy it. Riley, hi, Cathrine. What advice would you give to couples who have children from previous relationships? What boundaries have you navigated yourself when dating? Look, for me, I was in quite a long-term relationship with someone who didn't have a child. So I didn't have to navigate his children because he didn't have any, but I did certainly wait for our relationship to be about 5 months in before he met Lewis. My ex-husband has been married before and has a son from his first marriage, and then a son with me and a daughter with his new person. So I think my advice would be just be loving and respectful wherever you can. I'm very lucky my ex-husband's got really good taste in ladies. So first wife and current partner are lovely, and we didn't overlap. So yeah, I think that helps us navigate a rainbow family, I think they call them now. Lisa, hello. How hard is it not to be critical in front of your child about your ex when your heart is broken? That's a great question. Sometimes you just have to bite your tongue or phone a friend. But I think both Andrew and I have been really respectful when it comes to Lewis. And yeah, and I always sort of say to people, take a pause, and also that goes for sort of dealing with your ex too. If a text comes in and it's a bit wonky and you kind of want to react, take a pause or maybe wait till the next day to respond, because I think we can all kind of shoot from the hip when sometimes that's not the best way to do things. Helen, what is your husband's book called? It's called The Two of Me, and I think it was HarperCollins from memory, and that book was out, gosh, maybe 2007. It was just before we got married. Jane, how did you feel when you finally held the book in your hands? Wow, I had a cry. I think it's a really special process when you actually do hold the book in your hand. I got my lovely publishers, Simon & Schuster, to take a video, or they got the printers to take a video of the book actually being made, which was a bit kind of like, I suppose, play schooly. But that got me really teary. But when you hold the book, you can't believe you know that many words. 75,000 words is a lot. Gabby, how did you think of the title of the book? Good question. So sorry if there's any children on here, but it is one of the chapters in the book. The book was originally called, actually, I Don't Like Cricket or Blowjobs. And it was only sort of as we started in the process that we were like, that might be a bit tricky in the bookshops, or that might be a bit awkward if you're reading the book in front of your inquisitive 8-year-old. So we had to park that, and I used it as a chapter name. Also, I thought a lot of women like cricket. Currently Between Husbands stepped in to save the day and any blushes. And it's what I say when people ask me if I'm married. I don't really like the word divorced. Don't really like the word single parent either, or the phrase single parent. So I call it solo parenting. And when people ask if I'm married, I say I'm currently between husbands. And I have to clarify, I'm only one in, not judging anyone that's done more, but I'm not trying to beat Elizabeth Taylor's record or King Henry VIII. I'd be happy with just 2. Am I working on another book? What are my future writing plans? Well, the book's only been out for 3 weeks, so I'm still, I guess, right in the midst of this journey and loving it. There were lots of things that didn't make the first book that I think would be good for book 2. I also scored my first column, first national column with the newspaper. So on the Sunday papers, I've got It's in Body and Soul. It's called Cathrine Mahoney, Tales of an Oversharer. So I get to overshare once a month in my column, which will be in the newspaper, I think, around everywhere except for Perth. I think there's not a paper there. Kylie, I recently got cheated on by my so-called ex 14 months ago. How did you heal your heart after a split? Look, our relationship was, like a lot of marriages. Maybe it was, I don't ever think we were going to make like 50 years together. I remember when, Lewis was 5, I used to say to my mum, I think maybe when Lewis leaves school or goes to university, maybe I'll move back to England or not be with my partner anymore. And I remember my mum saying, why would you want to waste the next 10 years waiting for that? But I suppose, you never know if something's so good or so bad. But yeah, we split up a couple of times, as I say in the book. And so by the time it really did sort of come to an end, it had felt like a slow death, maybe more than that heartbreak. But yeah, reaching out to some of my exes, I remember the pain of your first love ending. I remember coming home after my, Paul, who popped my cherry, he'd broken it off, and I just remember walking in the back door of the kitchen and Mum giving me a hug and us sitting on the kitchen floor in tears. And I thought, I'll never be okay again, and you look back 30 years or 20 years later and you go, God, yeah, you do heal. But it takes time. And sometimes it takes pashing someone else to get over the last one, I think. Gabby, what are you reading, watching and listening to at the moment? Good question. I'm just getting back into books. So I've got a stack by the side of my bed that I'm ready to dive into. I'm obsessed with Sex Education, which I'm really late to the party on. Netflix with Gillian Anderson. There's 3 seasons. It is so funny and relatable and set in high school. And just, if you haven't seen it, watch it. Jasmine, what author's books influenced your writing? Probably Helen Fielding the most. I loved her stuff growing up. I loved Meg Mason's Sorrow and Bliss as well, that I read recently. That's a very different book to mine, obviously, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. I've sort of put books on hold while I was writing this one. You have this weird thing where you're like, what if I read something that's a bit similar to mine and then I look like I've stolen it? So I've sort of, as I said, I've got books by the side of my bed and ready to go. Can I read you a page? Yeah, from my book. Absolutely. Might have to put my glasses on. And I have to say, the feedback from the book already has blown me away. People who are not divorced, people who don't have kids, have reached out and said they've read it or they've listened to it. I had an 87-year-old lady reach out and say she hasn't read a book in ages and she loved it. She might be on Tinder. I don't know how she's gone with some of that stories. I'll read you. How about I read you the foreword? Not the foreword, even. The prologue. Okay. When your ex hooks up with a Bond girl. Spoiler alert, my ex did move on with Daniel Craig's ex-fiance. I know you need a diagram to work that out. They're not together anymore, but it did mean that you can now Google Daniel Craig and me and we're in stories together. But I think I would rather have just been in a movie with him than that. When your ex hooks up with a Bond girl. Yep, that was awesome. 2 weeks before my 40th birthday, the wheels unexpectedly fell off my marriage. This is a story of how I got both those wheels and me back. Hiya, I'm Catherine. I'm an English, curly-haired Capricorn, a publicist by trade who never leaves the house without a red lip. I've called Sydney home for the past 21 years after moving from the UK in 2000, in part on the advice of a horoscope column. That's true. I'm a self-confessed oversharer whose only filter is the one I use on my Instagram photos. Google me and you'll discover I was married to a former rugby league player and TV commentator, Andrew Johns. Actually, don't Google me, as there's a whole host of horrendous photos on offer, and a reminder that I really should have grown my pencil-thin eyebrows out ahead of our wedding. Despite what you may have read about our marriage and, well, what you'll read in this book too, this isn't a rant about men or my ex or marriage in general. I loved being married. I loved being in love, and despite this particular one not working out, we managed to create a perfect human together and not bugger that up. So hey, not all things are bad. But this is a book I wish I could have read when my marriage went tits up. I wanted to read a book about other people in a similar situation to me, and I wanted to know it got better. There is life after divorce, I promise, and laughter and tears and disastrous first dates and more vodka than soda, and best of all, happiness. This is not a self-help book. I'm still in therapy, but I do hope it's helpful to someone. It's a book about me, how I ended up married to one of Australia's most famous sportsmen, and how I've tried to get over a very public marriage split without breaking down too much in public. And no, despite what Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow managed to achieve, there certainly wasn't a scrap of conscious uncoupling in our separation. What I hope you will get from reading my story is a bloody good laugh, maybe a cry, to feel like you aren't the only one feeling desperate about going through the trauma of a breakup, and to know that there is always light at the end of the tunnel, even if you have to bring your own torch. There are 6 truths I now know about breakups. Number 1, it will take time to feel better. It just will. It takes longer than you want it to, but less time than you fear it will. Honest. Getting back out there can feel daunting, but when you're ready, it's worth the dating nerves. Being naked with someone who isn't your ex for the first time is bloody scary. And you may need a stiff drink. And in my case, the lights out. 3, you really need to eat something if you're drinking, but I'm not a health expert. 4, friends will get you through this. Friends, chocolate, cornichons, those mini gherkin things, George Michael on high rotation, anything starring Idris Elba, and vodka worked for me. 5, being the bigger person is really hard at times, but as Michelle Obama famously said, when they go low, we go high. 6, solo parents are superheroes. Word. Now, enough of all that, let's get into it. So that's Prologue. I've not read that before. Kylie, it was my first ever relationship, which is what hurt the most. I feel it was more experienced. It would be so hard to get over, but then I know in time it will. It will, yeah, it really will, Kylie. I know it sounds so cliched. And you're a fellow Capricorn. Great. I'm a Christmas Day baby. Jane, such great writing. Can't wait to read your column. Thank you. I think the next one's out in a couple of weeks. My first one is online. I think it's on news.com on the homepage today. It talks about Tinder, dodgy Tinder stuff, and getting back out there. My next column, I won't spoiler alert it, but it's about stuff that you might keep under your bed as a lady. Jane, how long did it take to write the book? Oh gosh, I suppose it was in my head for a long time. I got the butcher's paper out a couple of years ago, then I put it away. Then we had the first lockdown and didn't seem very joyful to be writing sort of stuff during that first lockdown. And then the majority of the book, I can thank the big lockdown that we had in Sydney. We were in lockdown for 5 months. And yeah, it aligned with my publishing deadline. I realised, sorry if anyone from the team from Simon is just to say, I realised I'm a bit of a last minute Larry, so I did wait for that last 4 months and then went, but yes, I had a great team and a great editor. Kylie, your Christmas Day too. That is a small world. You definitely need to get the book. Mary, that page sounds excellent. Off to buy your book later today. Thank you, Mary. Hope you enjoy it. Emma, who is going to play you in the movie version of your book? Emily Blunt is going to play me. She doesn't know that yet. My last chapter is called I Want Fucking Fireworks. Sorry if I've just swore. I want beep fireworks and Emily Blunt to play me. So I put that out to the universe. I thought Tom Cruise could play Andrew because he's a superhero kind of action dude, but he's short. Daniel Craig can play himself. I passed Robbie Williams very early on in the book when we were both younger, so Robbie Williams can play himself. And yes, be nice. All my psychics have said it'll be a film or a TV show, so that would be pretty cool. Kylie, I'm definitely getting your book. Good. I really hope you enjoy it and it brings you a giggle or two. Gabby, what do you recommend women should write on their dating profile? Look, I think just be honest. If you're if you're dating, because I've gone through all sorts of phases where I thought, oh, I need to find my next husband on the dating app, and that's the kind of way I went. I think if you're up for something casual, friends with benefits, if you're up for a long-term relationship, whatever you want, I think put it in your profile, because chaps certainly do. They're not backward in coming forward. And my advice would be, if you go on a date, don't make it dinner, or make it a coffee or a drink. Make it a short thing, because I think I ended up on a date with a lovely chap who I knew was not somebody I would want to kiss within about 3 minutes, and we stayed for a 3-course meal. So that was a long hour and a half, probably for him as well. Beatrix, Emily Blunt would be great. I know, wouldn't she? She can do funny very well. Kylie, I was about to say Emily Blunt. Love your work. So yes, that's my. I don't know that I've got really great dating advice, because I am currently single. But yeah, I think the fact that the world has sort of opened up again means that you can get out and about. Yeah, and if nothing else, going on dating apps for your friends who are in relationships, it's great content, because when you see some of the chaps, when you see some of their photos where they've got them and their wife, like it's their wedding photo, and they've scratched out their wife, I just think, surely you've got other photos that you could use. Emma, any proposals? I've had at this count 9 proposals since the book came out, mainly from people that look like potential AVOs. Sadly, no takers. But the book's only been out 3 weeks, so you never know. So yes, so that's it. I think with me. Lol, I love that description of guys on dating apps. It's so true. And also, I like bright colours. And I have no problem with people that wear like workwear that's high vis. But again, maybe another photo that isn't you in your high vis. Or what guys do as well is they'll have a group photo and you'll think, oh, they're all quite handsome. And there's another group photo. Yep. And then one more group photo. And then it's just them on their own. And you're like, I kind of preferred some of your friends, which is awkward. And also men with fish and animals, dead animals. I don't know. Don't know about you, but I find that quite strange. So yes. But I think that's me. Helen, thank you. Been lovely to have you here. I hope you have a great weekend. It's rainy in Sydney for the next 5 days, and it's school holiday, so this could be a long process. Anyway, has anyone else got any questions? No, we're all good. Well, lovely to have you all here. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Yeah, and let me know. Reach out if you read the book and if you enjoy it. Thank you very much.